Welcome to Conversations with Kay. I'm Kay Ryder. And every week I talk with Vermonters who are leaders in the fields of government, healthcare, education, the arts, and community life. And welcome to our radio listeners on WBTV LP 99.3 FM. My guest is Andrew Krebbs, who's the Communications Director of the Burlington City Arts. Welcome, Andrew.
Thanks for having me.
Well, now, where is the Burlington City Arts building?
Well, we're located at 135 Church Street, right next to City Hall, downtown. But we also have another building, BCA Studios, which is now on Pine Street. It's our new building.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Now, your building was once known as the old firehouse.
Yeah, it was built in 1889, served as the firehouse, horse-drawn carriages, and moved to the police department headquarters. And then we moved in the 2000s, and now it's our home.
It's a great place.
It's a beautiful building.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous building, and I'm so glad it got saved. It's just a great thing to have and have it part of the public scene. It's really great. Now, I know that you have a lot of different programs, but approximately what hours is the building open?
We're open usually, especially during the summers, we're open 6 days a week, and then in the winter we're open 5 days a week. The actual hours, I would encourage people to visit our website, burlingtoncityarts.org, because it does change.
Yeah, right now. So how long has Burlington City Arts as an organization actually been around?
We've been serving Burlington for more than 30 years, which is incredible. The Burlington's fortunate to have an organization like this.
Absolutely. A lot of cities don't.
Yeah, no, they don't.
Yep. What is the mission, actually, of the Burlington City Arts?
Frankly, we are to make arts accessible to everyone in Burlington. But our reach is actually wider than just the city of Burlington. But that's our mission of the city. And we're to promote artists. We present exhibitions and events, and offer educational opportunities for the citizens. But really, at the core of it, it's making arts accessible to everyone that lives within Burlington city limits.
Well, I love that mission. I think making art accessible to everyone, and John Clackey at the Flynn has done that too.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a marvelous concept, and people of all ages and all different groups. I think that's just a marvelous mission. Mm-hmm. Do you have, is it free to go into your art galleries?
It is. We, almost everything we do is free. So visiting the art gallery is free, attending our events, they're free. A lot of our educational programs are free. But our summer camps and our adult classes are fee-based. Mm-hmm. But we have a scholarship program that help supplement that.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah.
Anybody who has classes or things like that, many times you have scholarships.
We do. We offer partial or full scholarships depending on your ability to pay, and we don't turn anyone away that wants to take a class or be involved in the arts. So if you're passionate, want to take one of our classes, you should definitely look out for our scholarship program, because we'll do everything we can to get you in the class.
Right. Well, we're talking about a lot of different things here now. Where would someone call for information? I know you have a great website, Andrew.
It's very involved. There's lots of pages, as I mentioned before.
Right. What is your website and what is your telephone number?
Sure. It's burlingtoncityarts.org, and our phone number is area code 802-865-7166.
Now, you mentioned that the classes and the art gallery, everything is open to the community at large, not just Burlington.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So anybody can anybody take your classes?
Yeah, but most of our classes are more than one session. They're usually like 6 sessions. So it's harder for an out-of-towner to take just one class.
Right.
But everything else that we offer, we have a lot of individuals come outside of Burlington to enjoy.
Great, that's good. Now, talking about supporting the artists, mm-hmm. I have noticed that you have exhibitions at the gallery, an exhibition at your building, mm-hmm. but then you also on Church Street, but you also have other sites. Tell our audience where these other sites are. Why did you do this?
Well, we have which we had talked earlier, a sales and leasing program. And so we have a few other sites where we work with, let's say, a hotel, and like the Marriott or the airport. And we work with artists to display their work, and it takes the workload off of the business of trying to have art, shown in their spaces. And so it's a great relationship between artist, local business, and we help facilitate that.
Okay, and this art is for sale.
It is for sale, definitely. You can purchase it, and then also as a business, you can also lease the art just for the time that it's shown. So it's a win-win for the artist and the business, and you as an art purchaser.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So if I saw something at the airport which I liked, I could actually buy it, and it would leave the exhibit and come to me after the exhibit was over?
After the exhibit was over, it would be yours, and you just would need to reach out to us either by phone number or website, and we can coordinate that.
Yeah. Well, that's great, Andrew, because, what good does it do to, have art and make it and see it hanging on the wall if you don't have a mechanism to sell it?
Right. Yeah. And that's part of our mission of it's not only promoting artists, but helping artists have a livelihood in the arts.
I noticed that you also hang artists' work at the medical center.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a marvelous concept, because hospitals' walls, our hospital walls, are pretty plain.
Right.
So that certainly adds an element of color and local support at the same time.
Yeah, I have a healthcare background, and so I've been in lots of hospitals, and we're taking the bar up a notch, that it's not just reprints and reproductions where it's the same print in every hospital room. It's a great relationship with the medical center.
That's great. Now, for our radio listeners, 99.3 FM, I am talking with Andrew Krebbs, who's the Communications Director at the Burlington City Arts. Now, you deal with what you call contemporary art. Mm-hmm. Tell our audience what contemporary art is.
It's art of today. It's art relevant today, and it's we think of it in the 20th and 21st century, responding to global influences, or even cultural influences locally, and you'll see a lot of different mediums. So it's not just oils on canvas. It can be many different types of mediums, but it's exciting. It should invoke a response.
Mm-hmm. Yes, well, sometimes when we think of art or music, we think of somebody way back when,
Right.
All those things way back when were contemporary ones.
Right. Exactly.
We forget about that.
Right.
And so some of this old music, when it first was played, or the art, the artist wooed, and all that. And, you have to remember that.
Yeah, and you're right. We often forget that.
Yeah. And it's important to, look at the art of today with an open mind. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. I think you should look at all art with an open mind.
Right. Yeah, that's true, isn't it?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You had a background in healthcare, you said.
I did, yeah.
What did you do?
Well, I was in fundraising and administrative side. It wasn't necessarily the actual healthcare providing side.
Yeah. Where did you work?
In Indiana, in Bloomington, Indiana,
Mm-hmm.
before, and for a hospital there.
Uh-huh. Yes, that's where the university is.
Yes, it is.
Yes, big music program there.
Yes, a great music program.
Oh, huge, absolutely huge. Yeah, opera, very good. You have been there at Burlington City Arts now how long?
I have been there a little over a year.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now let's talk a little bit about your education programs,
Mm-hmm.
which are thrilling. I mean, you offer what mediums do you offer programs in?
Well, in the BCA studios on Pine Street, we offer clay, jewelry, digital photography, darkroom, which that's rare and rare to find these days.
Right.
that medium. Print, drawing, painting. That's it for now, but who's to say we won't venture into something else?
Well, that's quite a bit.
Yeah.
That is really quite a bit. And part of your education program is that in addition to your classes, you bring school groups to your building on Church Street, correct?
We do, yeah. It's a great way for school groups to see, one, what's on exhibition, but we offer then an educational hands-on component that helps make sense of what they see in the gallery, and help them retain it. Kids learn hands-on. It's not necessarily just staring at something that they remember. So we try to remember that and really activate the space.
Right. Well, kids hate it when they're told, "Don't touch anything." I mean, that just turns them right off. So it's great that you have this hands-on because, as you said, Andrew, children learn by touching, looking and touching and dealing with something. Yeah. And that's the way they learn. And of course, children's play is work for them. Right. That's how they're really learning. Yeah. So I'm glad that you do that. And your classes, all of your classes are at the Pine Street site?
All of our adult programming is at the Pine Street site, as well as our summer camps that we offer for children throughout the summer.
But some of your work with clay and photography and things like that are on Church Street?
No, we are all now over in Pine Street.
Okay, everything's on Pine Street.
Yeah.
And where on Pine Street?
We're at 405 Pine Street. We're right across the street from Arts Riot.
Okay, that's the old Maltex building, correct?
We're next to the Maltex building.
Next to the Maltex building. Okay.
Yes.
Good. Is that the old Champlain chocolate site or no?
That I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know.
All right. Well, anyway.
It was the Farrell vending building.
I'm not completely sure.
Yeah.
That gives us a location.
Yes.
Mention the number again.
Yeah, 405 Pine Street.
Okay, good. Now you have a very exciting program, I think. One of your most exciting is your Early Arts Head Start education. This is for preschool children, young folks, and visual arts and music and hands-on things. Everybody realizes now that education, really, you have to start before a child goes to school.
Right. And
this is 50 years. Mr. Rogers, 50 years of Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers was a program on television, and he had a very special way of relating to children. And my children watched Mr. Rogers, and he had a very quiet voice, and he would take children in buses, the neighborhood bus, and he would take them to a factory or a bakery or something like that. And his concept of early childhood education, and he was a trailblazer. He was way ahead of everybody else. So I'm just absolutely impressed that the Burlington City Arts has this program.
Yeah, we're glad that we have it too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because I have watched young children at the VNA's Family Room, and they have programs there where everybody's singing and dancing and touching clay and making things, and they would get little things to take home too, which is also important for young children. See what I made. Right. It's really wonderful. I can't applaud early childhood education enough. Yeah. And they need the arts too. Yeah. Well,
Burlington's so fortunate that we have an organization that we're focused on that importance, and we're an advocate for it to make sure that it is included.
Right. Children can't vote.
Right.
So they need advocates for health care and for housing and for educational programs. They need groups like the Burlington City Arts to make sure that they get the things they need. Yeah. Wonderful. Now another one, education. This is so special, and it has great meaning for me personally. As a cancer survivor, you have a program called Art from the Heart, which is at the University of Vermont Medical Center, various areas. But one area that you have is in the chemotherapy infusion area, which of course is a place. I'm a cancer survivor, and this is a hard place to be, and particularly for little children, I would imagine. Let's face it, the hospital is not where you really want to be.
No.
Many times, you need to be there, and it helps certainly, but it's not where you really want to be, and particularly for children, it can be so alien, and chemotherapy area and everything. And so how does this hospital program set up, Andrew?
We have a fantastic program coordinator. Her name is Rebecca Schwartz, and she just has really developed this program. And we have a team of volunteers. I think we're around between 40 and 50 volunteers that they help facilitate this program. And it's really bringing art, making that conversation about arts into the healthcare space. So, and tailoring it depending on where you are. So if you are with chemotherapy patients, you're potentially hooked up to a lot of different things. So like, what is your mobility to participate in arts activity or that conversation versus the pediatric wing where they may be up and, mobile.
Right.
So it's an incredible program, and there are scheduled times that those activities and programs are offered at the hospital, but then we're encouraging people to request. You want someone to come in and share time with Dad, you can call and we'll arrange that.
Okay, so that's how it works actually. Someone contacts you, how do they know about you? I mean, somebody in the hospital, volunteer, goes around?
Well, we work very closely with the staff. So the staff, the medical team knows about us. And then a lot of our literature is in the rooms, or we're trying to facilitate that to make sure it's in the rooms.
Right.
But then also our volunteers. So like if they are providing an activity on any given day, they're also able to then meet with different groups and people afterwards to talk about the program. And so we're very active on the spot.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really good. And you serve adults.
Yes.
And you have the pediatrics wards and the infusion area. I think you see a lot of children in the infusion area.
I'm not sure. I don't know that.
You don't know that.
I don't know that personally.
But I'm sure that any child who's served is absolutely delighted to have it.
Most definitely. I think that, I'm so glad that we're in an age where, gardening is seen as a benefit to health, and the arts are seen as a benefit to health. And so that we have a medical center here that realizes that and encourage us to participate and to provide the arts to people that are in a healthcare setting. I think everyone benefits from that, children or adults.
Yeah, right. I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah.
So just to make sure that you just talked about a lot of wonderful programs. So just to make sure, tell our audience again your phone number and your website.
Sure, it's burlingtoncityarts.org, and our phone number is area code 802-865-7166.
And for our radio listeners, I'm talking with Andrew Krebbs, who's the Director of Communications at Burlington City Arts. And now, how long have you been there? I think I asked you that before, but how long have you been there?
A little over a year with the City Arts, yeah.
So
I'm still learning, lots. There's so much to learn.
Well, of course, everything we've talked about, lots to learn.
Yeah.
Where did you work before you came to Burlington City Arts?
Well, I've worked for a healthcare system as well as a botanical garden, a public garden prior.
Okay.
So I'm very, the arts are very important in both of those previous settings.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the VNA had an adult day program, and they had music therapy for people with Alzheimer's. That was very helpful, really calming. Music is something that you can carry in your mind a long time. I mean, think right now, think of some stupid, commercial that you heard when you were a kid. It's still there.
Yeah.
It's amazing how you retain all those things with music. You have volunteers.
We do.
Yes. And how many, approximately, how many volunteers are involved with the Burlington City Arts, and where do they volunteer?
I would say in a given year we probably are close to 100 volunteers, thousands and thousands of hours. But really, you're able to work in an area that might mean more to you than someone else. So you could work in the gallery, or you could be a teaching artist or a teaching volunteer in the studios, or an event volunteer. You could, if you're really into music, you could volunteer in our summer concert series. So there are lots of opportunities.
Right. Now, the Burlington City Arts is involved with, throughout the year, various events. You've mentioned your summer camp and your summer concerts. What other things do you have? I know that you have your special Fools Weekend.
Oh yes, the first weekend in August, Festival of Fools, an event unlike any other, and 100,000 people will attend that event, and they will come from all over New England and Canada for that event. That we're able to bring in people to Burlington that may not have otherwise come here.
Okay. It's held every year, and
yes.
so that's very good that it is held every year, and you have such a huge crowd. Now, this is not a foolish thing, is it?
No. It takes a lot of work to put a foolish event together, but people love it. It's street festivals and street performers is a very European concept, and so it's still relatively new in the U.S. And so, we've made it our mission to embrace that in itself is an art form, and that people make livelihoods doing it, and we should take a moment and stop and watch and support them.
Yeah, I like street performers.
Yeah, they're incredible.
I find them every time we eat at Looney's, we look to see if someone's on the street doing something.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to see that. You also have events at Contois Auditorium in the City Hall. I know that Burlington City Arts has done that. What kinds of events do you have there, Andrew?
Well, usually the things that happen in Contois are things that may be too large for the spaces that we have. But for the most part, we also manage the rentals of that space. So if you're a community group that's interested in having a recital or an awards celebration, you can go through Burlington City Arts and we'll help coordinate that space. So we help activate it with lots of different groups, not just us.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. And also, Municipal Auditorium. I know that you have Memorial Auditorium.
Right.
I know that City Arts has been in there, and that that's part of you now. Do you have any ideas what may happen with Memorial Auditorium? It sits right in the middle of Burlington, big building.
Right. I know, that it's a very serious topic for the mayor, that he wants to activate that space and figure out what we can do with that. I know it's in the preliminary stages of that conversation. But for Burlington City Arts, we definitely wanted to see it continue as something for the arts, whether that be visual or performing arts, but that it should be a community space moving forward.
Yeah, I think that's very important to keep it as a community space. Right. I would hate to see it torn down.
Right.
I attended many performances there, and I know that it doesn't lend itself to fine music like the Flynn does.
Right.
But there must be a way to keep it and keep groups in there, I hope, anyway.
Well, and I know that everyone that's involved so far, it has that same goal in mind. So, I think Burlington's capable of anything, and I'm in a building that was once condemned and then was saved. So anything is possible, and I think the right people are at the table.
Right. Where are you located?
Actually, located at Church Street. I'm in the old firehouse.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good place to be.
It's a beautiful place to
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You're
Yeah.
lucky. And now another very important part of our community has been First Night.
Mm-hmm.
And it has been canceled. They had bad money problems after the horrible cold weather last year and on New Year's Eve. And I know that a lot of people still want to have some kind of New Year's Eve performance that's going on. Is Burlington City Arts talking with the city government, trying to work for that?
Yeah, we're helping to steer that conversation and figure out what is best for Burlington. What kind of model can we put together that, if we do have a bad cold winter, we're not all suffering. And so, yes, look for something to happen for New Year's Eve. It may be different than what First Night was, but programming during that time is important to us. It's important to the mayor's office. And so we're going to coordinate with as many different people as possible to make that happen.
Well, that's good, because I actually was involved when the young woman who founded First Night in Boston came to talk to people at my church, and I was on a committee, and we were kind of responsible for outreach, and we voted right away that we wanted to have the First Congregational Church be part of First Night, and we have several sites in our building. So, it was exciting for us, and as I said, our children wandered around and loved it. The fireworks, things for teenagers, and I think that it's just a warm and fuzzy thing, if you want to say it that way.
Right.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun, and I do hope that you figure something out. Someone figures something out. And I'm sure that there's a lot of support in the community.
Yeah, most definitely. And there's a lot of creative people at the table trying to figure out how we, put something on that's, if it isn't exactly like First Night, it's similar to First Night.
There are a lot of creative people in Burlington, aren't there?
There are lots of creative people in Burlington.
Yeah.
It's so exciting.
Yeah. Now, people have such good ideas. I keep reading about like Arts Riot and things like that. There's so many things that go on in various parts of the city. I don't think that Chittenden County could do without all that in Burlington.
No, and I don't think until you're here you realize just how much is going on.
Yeah.
Something every night. There's no reason to stay home.
Television people don't like to hear that.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Okay, Andrew, this is your last question. Why do we need the arts? Why do we all need the arts?
I think, for me personally, well, that's one thing, that the arts are very individual for each of us. But I think we live in a time right now that is the world has lost its mind, I would like to say. And, the arts allow us to come to terms with what's going around us and to have an emotional response to what's going on around us. And so I think that we're able to reach out to each other and be more of a sense of community through the arts. Right.
And I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah.
And I thank you for coming.
Well, thanks for having me.
And I thank you for joining us on Conversations with Kay.